Hi guys, so today I am doing another Tuesday Talks video, and this week's topic is reading experiences and who's influenced your reading taste and how you got into reading and etc. So I'm gonna get into it. So basically I'm gonna talk about I'm gonna start with how I got into reading, and this is really my mom's doing. My mom is an avid reader. And I'd have to say, if she had like a week of vacation and wasn't going anywhere and gonna stay at home, like a staycation, there's a few things she would do. Read, and I mean this. My mom, this wonderful woman, can read probably 2 or 3 books in one day, and I'm talking long books. And she would pin on Pinterest, Facebook, catch up on her TV shows, and cook. By the way, my mom's a phenomenal cook, and she's always been a good cook and tries all these new recipes. But my mom makes the best pies. And my personal favorite pie of hers is pumpkin pie. So Mom, if you're watching for Thanksgiving, your homemade pumpkin pie is way better than the store-bought version. So, hint, hint. Yeah, so she was my biggest really influence into getting me to read, and it really started when I was young. We'd go to the library, pick out a bunch of books, and she would read to me. And she'd also read to my sister, so it was all the time. And so reading was enjoyable. It wasn't this chore. It was always something that was enjoyable. It's something I wanted to do, and we would read books upon books. And so, yeah, now the first book I ever read on my own was Green Eggs and Ham, and I actually read it to my dad at the kitchen table when I was like 3 or 4 years old. So that was a big influence. I would say like Dr. Seuss was a huge like reading experience in my life. We had multiple of his books, and also the Golden Spine books. We had like several of those. And then we kind of we went to school. And then, I got to school age and went to school. And when I was first and second grade, kindergarten, I was reading above the curve. And my reading comprehension's always been fairly decent. But as school progressed, it got a little bit harder. And for 2 reasons. My reading speed wasn't necessarily increasing with the amount I read, as it should. And then 2, because I don't see things symbolically or metaphorically. I'm a very black and white person. I'm a very analytical person, and so that's how my mind works. So the reading speed has to do with my dyslexia, and that really hinders part of it. And the problem with picking out symbols and metaphors and all of those literary components that people feel are necessary and part of the story really come from more of, I've always been interested in sciences. I wouldn't say they've always came easy, but it's always been something I've enjoyed and wanted to learn. And my mind sees things as, this suggests evidence of this, B, C, D. And so it's very matter of fact. It's not open to interpretation or opinion. It's, here are the facts, or here are the evidence, and this leads to X, Y, and Z conclusion, versus in, poetry and even different classics, people have all these crazy interpretations and meanings for things, and I see it for what it literally is, not for what it figuratively is. So, required reading in those 2 aspects became a chore. I absolutely hated it, but it didn't impact necessarily my reading for pleasure. And my reading for pleasure hasn't necessarily been books of great literary value. When I was little, I loved the Junie B. Jones series, Beverly Cleary, Judy Blume, J.K. Rowling in her Harry Potter series, the Madison Fenn series by Laura Dowler, I I think is how you pronounce it. The I think it's Hayes series with like her diary composition notebook thing. And so while they necessarily might not have been up to great literary merit, I wasn't reading for that. I was reading for experience and pleasure and memories. And so in that aspect, you know, school never really affected my love for reading. It's always been there. And I would say, like, there's been times where I don't read as much, and a lot of that comes to when I'm in school and I'm reading so much just to learn from classes and stuff. A lot of times the last thing I want to do is continue to tax my brain. And so in that case, it's far easier to watch TV or get on the computer than it is to read a book. Because when you read a book, you are having to consciously think. It's not something that you can passively do and get what you want to get out of it. So yeah, my love of reading's always been there. And then book reviewers, bloggers, and, you know, booktubers really have helped find books that I like, because it's not this trial and error process of reading a couple of chapters and trying to get into it, because there's all of this, oh, well, this book is similar to these books, and so if I liked one of those books that they said it was similar to, then I might actually like the book they're reviewing, and so that just goes on my to read next list, you know, my TBR. So that's been nice in the aspect of like suggestions of books, because you're not just going off of your friends and family, because, you know, other than my mom, I would say the majority of my friends and, well, my cousin Brittany reads a lot, and she's kind of influenced my reading taste in a way too, but I'd say other than them, a lot of my family doesn't read, and so you don't get book suggestions from them. And also, my mom and I have totally different reading tastes. She's all into like the romance, feel-good novels like Nora Roberts, Danielle Steele. I know those are like two of her favorite authors. She reads the Nicholas Sparks books. So that's like my mom's taste. I've always enjoyed murder mysteries, fantasy, science fiction, things that, you know, my mom might not necessarily enjoy. So our tastes are very different. But it's funny in the fact that she's really the reason I love to read. So she's my biggest influence when it comes to reading. So I hope you guys are having a good day, and I would love to hear your reading experiences or influences. So yeah,